This is the 13-inch M5 iPad Pro, and I bought it so you don't have to. And yes, the title also says, from an iPad mini 7 user. This is my main iPad. Absolutely love it. This time around, I wanted to try the 13-inch iPad Pro. And the reason is, I tried the 11-inch, and I also tried the iPad Air, as well as the regular iPad, and this was kind of the last iPad Pro and just iPad model that I have not yet tried. I want to see if I can kind of get it to work in my daily workflow. But before I do get into it, just want to quickly mention this case, this keyboard case right here from ESR. They're not sponsoring this video, but they did send out this keyboard case. I absolutely love it. It's great. It's protective, and it has a huge trackpad, by the way. But it also has great battery life too. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below if you want to check it out. And you can also change the angle of how you're using it. You can detach the keyboard too, which I will do right here. And I will continue the video that way. But yeah, links will be in the description down below. Now, this iPad Pro is awesome. I really do love it. But for me, it's like, does this replace my MacBook Air? I'm just like, it's like half computer but half not, if you know what I mean. Like, it just doesn't do everything my MacBook Air would do to the point where I can replace it. So I don't know. This is not a MacBook replacement for me. But I want to talk about how great this iPad Pro still is. First things first is you're going to notice how thin it is, and I'm going to have to quickly remove it from the case itself, but you're going to notice how thin it is. It truly is super thin, like 5.1 millimeters thin. That is actually really, really nice. And it has pretty slim bezels. Obviously, you want to still have some bezel right there so you can hold it and not have any accidental touches. I love how the front-facing camera is landscape. I hope the iPad mini does that. Hopefully soon, maybe next year. It's perfect because I don't know anyone who uses their iPad Pro like this anymore. It's always in landscape mode. It also does feel really durable. The aluminum chassis feels premium, though because it's so thin, you may want to be careful, but I've seen tests of it and it doesn't bend or anything like that. So I guess you guys are off the hook there. But this display is also super phenomenal. I really do like it. And I think the 13-inch size makes it more of a desk or workstation device. Definitely not something you can hold like the iPad mini 7, which I get to kind of use one-handed. But the iPad mini 7 right here is also much more portable. So there is that. But this display, though, is absolutely phenomenal. I can tell you that. So with this 13-inch display, it gets incredibly bright and it has great contrast and HDR performance. You get about like up to 1600 nits of peak brightness, 120 hertz ProMotion again, which is whenever I use these iPad Pros and I go back to the iPad mini, that's like the one thing I really miss. Why doesn't the iPad mini have 120 hertz? It has its reasons, but you know, one can only dream, right? Anyone who's an avid iPad mini user would love to have a 120 hertz ProMotion display on their iPad mini, but this is great here. Absolutely phenomenal. The colors look rich, the blacks are true black, and if you're video editing, like if you're using Final Cut Pro, or if you're photo editing, like using Adobe Lightroom or anything like that, maybe using Canva, which I always use for my thumbnails, then you're going to enjoy using this larger 13-inch iPad Pro. But here's the thing, here's what I want to say. If you mostly just browse or take notes, do you really need all of this? Like, do you really need a 120 hertz? Do you need a super bright display? Do you really need like rich colors and true blacks? No, you don't really need any of that. That's where the iPad mini kind of just happens to come in play. I used my iPad mini 7 or my iPad mini 6 before this in my college career, and I took notes on it. It was great. And I also tried the iPad Pro during that time, and I still ended up switching back to the iPad mini. I was able to take notes. I use it as a content consumption device. Now, I see myself using this as a secondary display with my MacBook Air, but I don't see this replacing my MacBook Air fully, just because it's still running iPadOS. Yes, it does do things that are Mac OS-y, but for the most part, like, I'm still going to use this as just an iPad. Now, the big thing with the iPad Pro, this 13-inch M5, is the performance. M5 is ridiculously fast. Obviously, it's going to blow my iPad mini out of the water, but I think it's overkill for many users, like up to 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU, like a 3nm processor with a 16-core neural engine, all that stuff. And I think for a lot of people using the iPad, that's a lot of power. I know people who are still using the iPad from 2018. I know people who are still using the 2020 iPad, who are still using the M1 iPad Pro. Goes to show that they do a lot of things already, and they're able to use an iPad that's 5, 6, 7 years old without having the need to picking up a new iPad Pro. Now, here's the thing. All of the Pro things we get here, like Final Cut Pro, Logic, Procreate, all that stuff, they're great. They absolutely are. For me, I'm using Procreate with my iPad Pro. So for example, click on here, we got it right there. You can use LumaFusion, but once Apple released Final Cut Pro, it's been better to use Final Cut Pro on Apple devices. But again, Procreate, I use it to make wallpapers, and so far it's truly been great. I use Notability to take notes. Again, these are all the apps that I use on my iPad mini. Just threw them on here on the iPad Pro. Canva, again, to make thumbnails. Now, compared to my iPad mini or the A17 Pro, yes, there's a huge difference, but you're only going to feel it with like heavier creative workflows. I noticed the difference between like how fast apps open and things like that, but on a day-to-day basis, I'm not using heavy creative apps on my iPad mini 7 anyway. I'm not using Procreate every single day, or I'm not using Final Cut Pro every single day, or I'm not using Photoshop Lightroom every single day all the time. I use a lot of those heavy creative apps on my MacBook Air, but I do have it on my iPad when I'm out on the go. So if I need something that's more portable, that's where I get to use it. Now, everyday stuff, Safari, Notes, YouTube, light editing, it's not pushing this iPad, M5 iPad Pro anywhere. Like, it's not pushing it to its limits. It's not even getting close. Like, that's how good this M5 iPad Pro is. So if you are out in the market and you have an M1 and you're going, well, I want the M5, it's got improved display tech, this, that. No, I still don't think in performance department, I don't think you're going to need anything. And design-wise, like, yeah, it's probably going to be thinner and stuff like that, but do you really, really need the M5 iPad Pro? I don't know. iPadOS 26, essentially, it's, you know, I've had the same experience on my iPad mini 7, and it's been great. There's Stage Manager, there's external monitor support, at least with this iPad Pro, so that is great, but it's still macOS. And, you know, there's only so far you can, you know, do things, you know, push multitasking there. And yeah, it's trying to be like Mac OS, but it's truly not there. And I think as someone who's used to the Mini 7 iPad OS on this, feels more like I don't know, a sports car stuck in traffic. It's capable, but like you're limited by the road. So you got to keep that in mind. But overall, like, if you just want to do daily things, Safari notes and stuff, that's really up to you. Then yeah, this is more than capable. And I know long term, this is going to last you a long time. But if you want to get into the more creative, heavy workflows, that's where you kind of have to say, well, goodbye iPad mini, and then you make the switch to 13-inch iPad Pro. Or you can go with 11-inch, that's really up to you. 13-inch, obviously, if you want the largest size and the most screen real estate, then you go with the 13-inch. If not, 11-inch is also more than capable. The battery life has been the best, obviously. Easily lasts like 3-4 days on a single charge. That's really good. charges via USB-C, obviously. Oh, and the speakers, by the way, are absolutely phenomenal on this. It doesn't get uncomfortably hot either, even when I'm like using it constantly. So I think it's got some pretty decent thermals. Then just the efficiency of the M5 really does help with the battery life. So if that's something you care about and you're thinking like, well, how's the battery life so great being so thin? Well, I don't know. I really don't know. It's like, it's a thin device, so it's probably not going to have like the beefiest battery capacity, at least, but it still performs like a champ. Like, I really do like it. So this is GSM Arena, one of my favorite sites that I go to all the time. But like, just opening up Apple's website right there, which iPhone Air receive. Still gonna, try that out. So stay tuned to the channel. It's coming soon. Just don't know when. AirPods Pro 3s, Apple Watch Series 11. Like, these are all here. But yeah, it opens things up really quick. Like, let's go to Phone Arena. Bam, really quick. Honestly, like, I'm actually going to read this. Everyone says OnePlus lost its way, but I say finally found it. So I'm going to read that afterwards. But yeah, the battery life on this has truly been phenomenal. But here's who I think it's for, this iPad Pro. If you're a digital artist, you're a video editor, you're a graphic designer, someone who truly uses their iPad as their main computer, this is unbeatable. I have a friend of mine who uses an iPad Pro as their main iPad, and they're really happy with it. They like the hybrid idea of having, not truly having a macOS device, but having iPadOS. It fits their workflow. It's great. They don't have the need to go and pick up a MacBook or a Windows laptop because they're perfectly fine with it. Their iPad Pro is more than capable of tackling all the tasks that they throw at it. And M5 iPad Pro obviously is the most capable tablet that Apple has on the market. But if you're coming from something like the iPad mini 7, it's going to be a huge jump in power, size, and price, with not as huge a jump in practicality. For things like reading, quick note-taking, travel, or couch use, this is still probably going to be the one. I think the mini still wins on comfort and portability. But for serious creative or workstation setups, the 13-inch Pro is a dream machine. And one way I would actually use, not the 13-inch, but the 11-inch, would probably be, let's kind of X out of these, would probably be using this as a second monitor to my MacBook Air, but also when using this as a companion device, again, just a blown up version of my iPad mini, but also a device that I can use as a monitor to while I'm recording this video to kind of see my footage as I'm recording in real time. So that's kind of what I would use it as. But just to kind of wrap things up, the M5 iPad Pro 13-inch I think is still breathtaking, no question. However, it's like incremental upgrades each year. You take a look at essentially the 2018 big redesigned iPad Pro, and there's really no huge difference. However, that being said, I still think we have gotten some great updates over the years. Display is phenomenal. The chip is insanely powerful. It still feels futuristic, but it's not a must-buy for everyone, especially if you're coming from the iPad mini 7 or if you just want something that's more comfortable and practical, easier to carry. You'll be paying for the performance and the features that most people won't fully use. So yes, I did buy it. So you don't have to, unless you're the type who can really push this iPad Pro to its limits. For me, I think it's both inspiring, but also a little unnecessary for me. But wow, it is an incredible piece of tech. Do have to give props to Apple for that. And yes, I still will be using my iPad mini 7 as my main iPad. Rumors are next year it's going to have like an OLED display. Hopefully we get 120 hertz ProMotion. It's not looking likely, but hey, one can dream, right? Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Go out to your local Best Buy. Go out to your Apple store. Check out this 13-inch iPad before you make the decision. Write down why you would need it, what you use your devices for on a daily basis, and can you justify it? Can you justify picking this up? And if so, What storage? Do you want to get like the nano texture on the display? Do you want to go for 2 terabytes that cost like $2,000? You really want to weigh all those options. Definitely be sure to check out your local Apple store, and also check the link down below of this ESR case. Absolutely love ESR products. I've been using them for like 3-4 years now, and for all of my product, for like my Apple Watch, for my AirPods, my iPhone, and my iPads, they're great. But I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, definitely be sure to Superman the like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot and will help push my content out to more people. Definitely be sure to check out my wallpaper pack. This right here, it is called Lava Flow. Links will be in the description down below. I'll also show you right here. This is another one, just a part of that wallpaper pack, Lava Flow. But I'll catch you all in the next video.